Wow, good morning everyone and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jamie and I have Genre on camera with me, and if in FC we are accompanied by the dulcet tones of Nikki and Jess, and and what better way to start off the morning than with elephants in the mist? And what a special way. It's one of those things about a live safari, and it is live, which means everything you see on your screen is happening live. So you can send us through your questions or your thoughts, and you can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarthTV. Please let us know, we would love to hear from you. Now my beautiful Ellies in the mist are slowly disappearing, and I believe that on the other vehicle, Scott and Wiem have hyenas to show you. So let's quickly skip past my introduction and go see what they're seeing. I'll reposition to find us those Ellies. See you in a little bit.
Welcome back everyone. Well, actually not welcome back, welcome for the first time. I'm so excited to see these hyena, which have just popped onto our northern boundary and sadly crossed north over it, so we cannot follow them any further. The third one, there we go, has just popped into screen. And you can see there's quite a big size difference. The one in the middle is considerably smaller. That's a sub-adult that we've watched grow up from a tiny little black fur ball. It's probably around a year in age now, I'm guessing, although I'm losing track of who's who in this hyena clan. It is the same hyena clan in all likelihood that we spend a lot of time with, which is about half a mile from here. And like most young adults, some extra energy as it trundles off down towards that large waterhole. I wonder what they got up to last night. Look at the beautiful mist off in the valley below the dam. Beautiful. Sounds like Jamie also got off to a good start. Look at how the youngster's holding up its tail like that. It's actually a dominance display. So interesting that it was doing it with two much larger adults. But they do have a very complex social system, and you can find that a youngster like that could be the heir to the throne, and therefore will command a lot of respect. Quite a few hippos you can see lying motionless in the water, and they also, like the hyena, would have been out covering large distances over the night looking for food, although it would have been a very different food to what the hyena were after. The feed kill just about anything meaty. It's interesting that they're moving so far away from the den at this stage of the morning. Not too sure what their plans are. There's one of them does seem to be having a drink there, just hard to see. Well, what a great start to this beautiful morning. Jamie continues to find many elephants for you to enjoy looking at. And just a quick hello from myself, Scott, and the wonderful cameraman Wiem that I'm teamed up with this morning. We're going to catch up with you guys a little bit later, because Jamie would like you to jump back onto her vehicle, enjoy it, and we'll see what else.
Welcome back onto the back of our vehicle, and how lucky are you that you get to jump between two different vehicles out on safari. And I've repositioned to try and get us a better view of these Ellies. They are in a thick block. And I've repositioned to try and get us a better view of these Ellies. They are in a thick block, But this light is just so beautiful with the sun shining through these bright green leaves. We get to enjoy a little bit of a peaceful start to the sunrise safari. Really hard to tell exactly how many ellies are actually here. I've only really counted about 6 or 7, but there may well be more hiding out in the drainage line. Definitely my favourite way to start a morning if I had to choose. There have been lots and lots of ellies around Djuma over the last few days. I'm sure you might have picked up on all of the different bird calls that were coming through. And I heard lots of crested francolins calling, lots of fork-tailed drongos as always, that secretive whistle. And there's a beautifully warm morning. Back to these 2 ellies. There's 2 calves of about 3 years old who are playing with each other, or were playing with each other. I'm hoping we can get a view of them. A little bit about the birds that we could hear. Keep your ears out, or keep a listen out for the little tweeting sounds of black-spilled birds. Now Molly, you were wondering if we get them on Djuma and Arethusa, and we absolutely do. We get a couple of different species. And once I've repositioned and we've had a look at these ellies, then I'll go into that a little bit further. Hello ellies. Are you moving towards quarantine? Because that would be wonderful. I think that they might be. Some elephant bottoms in the mist. But yes, Molly, we absolutely do. And you were wondering if they mate for life. I honestly don't know. Of all bird species are, but monogamous may mean for one season. Speaking of being monogamous versus not being monogamous, Scott has some non-monogamous species doing a little bit of a display for you. So let's head across to Scott and his impala, and I will be back with you very shortly.
Welcome back, everyone, and let's hope these impala continue their antics. Oh, here comes one running through the screen. During the months of March, I always get confused whether it's March or May, the 2 months starting with M. And during that period, the males will compete violently with one another, sometimes even to the death, which is maybe through default actually. Those sharp horns sometimes puncture into vital organs within the rib cage and impala will die. But they do fight quite ferociously for small patches of territory, and within these patches of territory will come the females that they'll get to mate with, and it's a very strict period of rutting for about 1 month, which helps allow, I'm going to reposition again, which helps allow the young impala to kind of flood the market when they arrive and are born in the next month or so. And because the young impala flood the market, the predators only have a short period where they can capitalize on the youngest and easiest foals to catch, as there's only so many impala you can catch in one day. So that's one of their methods for being so successful and being the most numerous antelope in this area. Well, they just disappeared off into thicker wood.
Welcome back. As you can see, we are back again once on my vehicle, and we do apologize for Scott's signal disappearing like that. But we're still sitting with our Ellies. I'm not going to follow them any further this video. I think that they are going to slowly move towards quarantine. This question about the wax bulls, since I have got my book open here, just while we are talking about it. Just to show Molly, I can't find out, or I haven't been able to, if they are monogamous. I think that they are, but I think it's a seasonal monogamy. So they're monogamous with the same partner for a breeding season, and then we'll change that in the beginning of the next one. I'm not sure. I could stand corrected on that one, but that's what I think. And here we go. We've got some wax bull species. This is probably the most common one that we see, is the bright blue wax bull. Very, very pretty little bird. They're all quite pretty. Delicate, tiny things. About 12 centimeters or 5 or so inches in height. Very small. We do occasionally get the violet-eared wax bull as well. We always keep an eye out for that. As well as the common wax bull, which is pretty much distributed everywhere in South Africa. There's quite a few of them, and if we're really, really lucky, we might get a black-faced wax bull as well. We might be a little bit far from home. But the wax bull family is huge, so there's quite a few of them that are within it and fall within our distribution range. And just to show you just a little bit more about them, very similar to wax bulls, although they're known by a different name, are the firefinches that we get. Beautiful bright yellow birds, very similar in size and shape, and pretty much falling into exactly the same family. So you could almost call them wax bulls. And the last one on our list, in terms of wax bulls that occur in our area, is the Swee wax bull. Really beautiful little bird. I've yet to see one of these here, but I'm always keeping my eyes peeled. And just think, all these little birds to add to your bird list that you're collecting, I'm sure. And if you're a new viewer and you're starting to watch for the first time, we've got probably over 300 bird species that we can show you. So start keeping a list. We'll be keeping an eye out for some of the ones that might be a little bit unusual. And of course, it being summer and all, we're going to start to get more and more of them coming through. Okay, now I don't see any dark grey shapes in the mist. Let's do a little bit of a loop around, see if we can find a nice view. Otherwise I'm going to move on and look for other things to show you. Georgianne has sent through some information, which is one of the things I love about having such regular viewers. All of the bird species that we get out here, close to 95%, are monogamous in some way. There's very few that exhibit any kind of other breeding strategy. I'm trying to think some of them that do. The most obvious one that comes to mind is the African jacana, but that's unusual in itself because it's the female who mates with several different males.
There's a chance that some of you are with us in the technical difficulties. Thankfully, Alex, our Russian genius, flown out from Moscow to save the day, is working hard at rectifying whatever the problem is. There's also two other birds hunting at the moment. There are two saddle-billed storks. And we've just got the green light from Axe saying everything should be up and running again, so welcome back. Officially, you didn't miss out on much, which is the good news. Always but I'm going to list, and that was a suggestion from Jess yesterday that we should not only but also, because I'm not sure where my pen is, but I'm going to list, and that was a suggestion from Jess yesterday that we should not only but also a bug list, and the banded ground is going to be #1 on my bug list for the season, and it's a small dragonfly that we actually saw at this waterhole that they don't know anything about just yet. I want to give it a few more seconds here. There's quite a few birds hunting, the saddle-billed storks, the better. Fair enough, it is early in the morning and it's probably just waking up. Oh no way, it got one! Well done, VM! Well, I hope you guys are still with us. Did you get at the actual plunge, VM? You're a machine. And can you believe it? Now, I wonder, ooh, is the saddle-billed stork going to come and try and steal it? There could be a little bit of bullying that we get to see here, but hopefully not. It wasn't too long ago that we saw a saddle-billed stork getting bullied by an African fish eagle, and now it may be the stork's turn to bully in turn. And while the kingfisher tries to dispatch this little fish that it's caught, it's going to try and hammer it against the ground to kill it, or is it going to fly up onto a branch and continue its business? Okay, we're going to have to reposition, it looks like, in order to see the rest of the show. And what I'm going to try and do, rather than going through the ditch where we lose signal, actually no, let's just do that, it'll be the quickest. So we're going to go through a little ditch, and there is a chance that the screen may go black temporarily, but do not fear, it will return by the time we get into a better position to see this kingfisher continuing to eat. Welcome back. We just got through the edge of the dip, and we'll be with the kingfisher shortly. Jess and Nikki in the final, ready for slow motion clip for you guys. Straight ahead of us, in the top of the green bush. There we go. I think that's the right one. Yeah, that's the right one. Got it there, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it still hasn't swallowed the fish. And what it's probably going to try to do, can you believe it? It's calling with the fish in its mouth. Interestingly enough, this is the male that we're looking at. It's a bit difficult for you to see, although now you can see he's got a black stripe as well as two kind of black blobs just above that black horizontal stripe on his chest, and that is essentially his bow tie and his cummerbund. The female will only have two black spots on her chest, like a bra. And she was around earlier. I saw both of them perched side by side. Oh, I've just spotted her now, but we'll show it to you a little bit later, because she's a little bit far off. And I don't want to miss any action of him trying to kill this fish and then swallow it. Thankfully for him, it looks like the perfect size, not too difficult to swallow. Sometimes these avian predators that hunt fish come out with prey that is too large for them to actually swallow. But this looks like a very manageable catch. What exactly he's waiting for, I'm not too sure. He's going to need to reposition the fish. Currently, the tail is in the base of his mouth and the head of the fish is at the end of the beak, and it needs to be the other way around. It needs to be swallowed head first, otherwise the scales and fins will naturally not slide down the throat into the stomach. So we're going to probably see him tossing it up into air, swiveling it around, possibly hammering it a few more times on that branch it's sitting on. And I think while not too much is happening, I'm not too sure how the replay is, but we can maybe play the replay. Oh no, him. The female just bombed into the water down to our left. We can't see it from here. Let me creep forward a bit. I think she may have also caught one. It's What's all happening here? Yes, she did. You got it there, Jim. Can you believe it? The kingfishers are having a wonderful morning. Crazy. It looks like a very similar sized catch to the one her husband managed to catch. Let's see if she doesn't deal with it faster than he did. I'm just going to creep forward a little bit more. Oh no need to do that because she's decided to move off. And VM is showing off with his camera work this morning. So now, basically, oh, now you can see her bra that she's wearing. There's two black spots on her chest. She lacks the the horizontal black stripe that the male had. So while you keep an eye on the female, I'm keeping an eye on the male. And it appears that for now, both of them are happy to just sit and hold on to their prey proudly. Oh look, the stork's just got one, VM. Oh, it dropped it. It dropped it. Jeez, don't know where to look. And we've just got a question through asking if we've ever seen a stork catch one of these little fish. And that was Jeffrey in Texas. And I've managed to see them eat catfish in the past, but not these very small fish, although it did just latch onto one, but it obviously lost it. Let's try and get a little closer to these kingfishers. So in all the excitement, I didn't get Jeffrey's question too clearly, and Jeffrey was asking whether I've ever seen a stork eat a smaller bird. And no, I haven't seen these saddle-billed storks eating birds before. Oh no, just chase the kingfishers away. Try to get a little bit too close, but I think we've seen good action from them already. But what we could possibly do now is show you the slow motion video of the initial first catch that the male pied kingfisher executed, and VM did a great job on camera. So like I said, the girls have prepared a 20-second clip or so that you are, I'm sure, going to enjoy. I wish I was going to be able to watch it as well, but I'll get to do that later, and we will see you in 20 seconds time. Well, how cool is that? And again, huge congratulations to VM. I only realized what was going on after the kingfisher had already plunged into the water and was flying off with its kill. Let's see if these saddle-billed storks don't show us their hunting skills. So earlier what happened is I looked across and saw the one on the right. It had caught one of these small fish, and I'm not exactly sure what they are. Possibly a small tilapia, but their body shape doesn't seem quite right. But they're quite plentiful, and early on I saw the water on the dam almost rippling with hundreds of these tiny fry scattering across the surface. So it's quite small prey for the saddle-billed storks, and it latched onto one, and as it tried to reposition it in its beak, it slipped out and swam off to live another day. The birds you can see behind the saddlewood stork and shots are water thickneys, which are very vocal birds, especially at night. And we're going to send you across to Jamie, who possibly has found a new bug for the bug list, but you may have to help her identify it.
Welcome back, and I've indeed found a new bug for the bug list. I just don't really know what he is. He's not a mantid, and it's not a stick insect. But I've had quite a lot of fun learning all about the thin marbled lichen moth from a couple of weeks ago. So I thought I'd put the question to you guys as to what you think this little guy is. 6 legs, pair of antennae. He popped into the vehicle with us a little while ago, and I have absolutely no idea what he is, and try and keep my shadow out of his light so as not to gate crash his moment of fame, his or hers. Don't think he's got wings, but it's hard to tell. But please let me know if you know what it might be. I don't have my insect book with me, but you can do so obviously on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarth.tv. And another one to add to your bug list that you're collecting. So many things to start listing. Very soon you're going to be able to start a frog list as well. There's just too many things to see and learn about here to know everything that's out here. Well, I just wanted to bring you across for that little moment. I'm going to send our little guy back into the bush, and I hope that you took lots of screenshots. Let me know what you think he might be. And let's head back across to all of the action that's happening at Buffelshoek Dam with Scott, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Well, you come back at a good time, because this stork, as you can see, looks very focused and was walking towards a flurry of ripples caused by the fish in front of it. And I'm confident it won't take long before we see our third kill of the morning here at the Buffelshoek Waterhole. A lot of great bird life in and around here, which you can also examine as the morning unfolds. I can see one kingfisher behind us. It's quite far away, so not going to be worth showing you, but I can tell you that one of them is still sitting patiently with its fish in its mouth, so it hasn't fed on it just yet. I wonder where the other one's hiding. Franklin's calling, almost like jumping on a very rusty mattress. There's one
Got one.
Did we get one?
Yes. A tiny one, just swallowed it.
In and out?
Yep.
Oh, well done. I was looking around for any other interesting things to talk about or see, and imitating being a rusty mattress spring. So I missed everything, but glad you guys got to see that. That's the water thickening now that you can hear. And a kind of chirping whistle that you can also hear, not right now, is red-billed buffalo weavers, which are busy building their apartments above us. Well, Molly in Ohio is busy working on her bird list and asked if there are any buffalo weavers around, and exactly there are. That's what's making the noise just above us. They sadly are in this thick clump of branches, but if we're patient, one will jump out. I think on the far right, there we go, one's just popped out of that nest. And this is a red-billed buffalo weaver. It's not entirely responsible for this massive structure that you can see, and they nest in communities. So they'll all contribute to building the nest, which you can see is being done now. Looks like he may have been stealing his neighbor's fence to go and erect in his own garden. But they'll all have their own little apartment blocks within this massive nest. And that's the call that you can also hear ringing out. They'll become a lot more active over the summer months. Right now the nest is quite small, it's dilapidated over the winter. And I'm guessing it's probably going to almost double in size and volume as they rebuild it. I keep checking behind me to make sure there's no leopard or lion that have snuck up for a drink, but not the case just yet. So you'll see I've put branded groundling top on my bug list, number 1. So it's started, it's official. This is an old reaming list when we were sorting out accommodation for everyone. I can't remember when exactly, but there goes the bug list, and we'll try and get a couple of new bugs every drive, and that way we should, before we know it, have hundreds of them to look at. Okay, Marilyn in California has asked if she would like to go back to the kingfisher tree, so we can. And really interestingly, she doesn't want to go back to the kingfisher tree simply to see if the kingfishers time of the year and will act differently to elephants elsewhere in different parts of Africa. So even though we've got the same species that spread far and wide through many parts of this continent, their behavior will be considerably different depending on where they are. Oh, time for a bit of a scratch on the torchwood tree. Beautiful. I wonder who the next visitor is going to be to the waterhole. And another question is from Cameron in New Zealand. Hearing quite a few names. I haven't heard of Roy in Long Island, neither you, Cameron, so it's good to hear all these new names, and maybe those phone calls that I asked the viewers to send out to friends and family to let them know about Safari Live are actually going ahead. So thank you if you have done that, because it's obviously working. And Cameron has asked something that has just completely slipped my mind, which happens from time to time. It's not that it wasn't an important question, Cameron. It's merely that my brain has got very limited capacity at the moment. But I'm sure it'll come back to me at some point. As you can see, the saddlewood stalks have moved off, and up on the other side of the waterhole. Nikki, if you could please give me Cameron's question again, that would be great. She's probably trying to, but the radios are killing us. And that was whether elephants yawn or not. So thanks, Cameron, and apologies for forgetting that. I can't remember seeing elephants yawn, but that's not to say they don't do it. With the strange shape of their mouth, they can never open it extremely wide, and even when they do, they're going to have their trunk kind of draped over it. So I think that they certainly will yawn. A funny animal that I have seen yawn that you wouldn't expect to is the warthog. And again, they've got quite a strange mouth that can't open nearly as wide as a lion's mouth or our mouths can. And when they yawn, it's just this tiny little, that's as wide as it goes, but they have a big yawn, but their mouth is hardly open. And I'm guessing elephants are going to be very similar to that, Cameron. So we'll be keeping our eye out, trying to capture some elephants yawning, but it's not something that is easy to see. Well, VM and I are probably going to head off from here, but we'll give it a few more minutes just to listen and see if anything else is going to make its way down to the waterhole. But either way, we are going to continue on the adventure, but you are going to continue elsewhere with Jamie.
Welcome back, everybody. What a fascinating bird we've got here. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Oh, I think it's just the angle of its wings. Look at the white stripe that runs down the side of the wings. I'm trying to work out what on earth it is. It's really, really interesting. I'm thinking it might be a juvenile of some description, just with that white. There's nothing that I can think of, though, that has a white stripe along its wings. I'll try and maybe sneak a little bit closer to it. It's a big bird. It's interesting. I wonder if it's not some kind of color morph. Really beautiful. I don't know if you guys know what you think it might be. Please let me know. You can do that as always on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@wildearth.tv. It looks like an eagle. I haven't seen its feet properly, so I'm not sure if they're feathered all the way down. I'm still looking to see if I can work out what it is. I've never seen one with white like that before. It almost looks like our first steppe buzzard of the season. It's got that face to it, but I can't, can you see if it's got a yellow eye or not? I'm trying to get it through my binoculars. So steppe buzzards have brown eyes, so we're looking for that as well as an identifying feature. It's got black on the tip of its bill with a yellow beak. It's just those white tips of the wings that's confusing me. Take lots of screenshots because I don't have my camera with me. And I'm going to need to double check the ID of this particular individual. Interesting. This is a mystery to me, unless maybe it's a juvenile steppe eagle. It could be. It's got a very upright posture though. Might just be the way that it's sitting. Okay, well, let's go through the options then, I think. Starting with the biggest eagles and working our way down. I think this is the only way we're going to go about figuring this out. Things it is not. It is not a fish eagle and it is not a battalier, so we can skip that page. Don't think it's big enough for any of the really big eagles, so we can probably skip over martial eagle, so let's skip that page. Could it be a tawny eagle, perhaps? That would be with its yellow eye. Now, none of the color morphs have any kind of example. Let me maybe shift it into the sun there. None of the color morphs have that white stripe along the wings, so it's not them. But if you're looking at tawny eagles, yellow eyes, yellow bill with a black tip. It's definitely not a Wahlberg's. It's too big for a Wahlberg's and it's not square enough. I thought maybe we might be looking at a juvenile steppe eagle. Our first one, at least my first one of the season. They do have a little bit of white lines, but it's not a thick white band. It says that they're white lines, and that almost looks like a thick white band. But you can see what I was talking about the brown eye that we're looking for. There's a spotted, maybe. It's also got it's slightly smaller than a steppe eagle. It's also, the juvenile has white stripes. This has got to be some kind of juvenile that we're seeing with that amount of white on it. Oh, this is a mystery to me. Skip through. It's not an African hawk eagle for sure. It's not an Ayers hawk eagle. Wow. Mystery bird. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to try and shift around so we can get a different view of it. I don't think it's going to let me get much closer though. It's not one of the snake eagles. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Teresa, you've suggested that it looks like a falcon. Oh, sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up there. It's too big for a falcon. Any one of our falcon species that occurs naturally here is smaller than this. Unless there's a giant that I didn't know about. And then there was a question about whether or not it is a snake eagle. I'm looking at the two species. Oh, Joanna suggested it was, Joanna, you suggested it was a steppe eagle. That's what I think it might be. I think it might be a juvenile steppe eagle. Sorry, I'm fumbling with pages. That is what I think it might be. It is a big bird with a wingspan that can reach almost about 2.5 meters. I mean, this one is not quite that large, but if it is a juvenile, then it will be smaller, obviously. Interesting suggestion to do with the upright posture, and I think this could be our answer from Robin in Maryland. You were wondering if it was a jackal buzzard. Let me just find it. And I think you might have hit upon a possible solution with that white there. The thing is, it just looks so brown. It doesn't have that dark color. of a jackal buzzard. That's the one we're looking at with the adult. That's the upright posture that we're seeing. It just has a very rufous look. It might be the way that the sun's catching it, but that could be our answer. Well done, Robin. I'm still not sure though. I'm still trying to work it out. They definitely occur here, although we are right on the edge of their range. I need to see it flying. It's just got that brown look. Doesn't look black to me. Don't know if that's the sun. And the bill is quite long as well. Jackal buzzards have quite short, stocky bills. Oh! This is a mystery. This is a mystery to me. Still going through, trying to double check if I'm not missing an obvious solution, but I don't think so. Sure. Okay, let's take one last look at our bird. And let's do... Oh, what have you seen, Jandre? A couple of birds there as well. Red-billed buffalo weavers. And a little and a sparrow as well. Well, at least we've got the answer to those mystery birds. Thank you, Jandre. Well done. Definitely buffalo weavers sitting there. Let's take one last look at our mystery bird here. I think jackal buzzard probably comes closest. It's just got a brown tinge to it. It might be the way that the sun is hitting it. Well, there's one way to find out for sure, and that's to try and have a look at its feet. It's a big bird. Maybe it is maybe it's a juvenile jackal buzzard who's slowly starting to come into adult plumage. So that explains the slightly brown color to it. I love birds. Every time you think you're getting to know them, they throw a curveball at you. It's definitely got that upright posture. Okay, just trying to think how we're going to do this. The sun is now very bright, but let me try and see if we can get a position where we can see it a little bit clearer. Interesting. Very interesting. Please take lots of screenshots. Starting to think, Robin, you might be right. If it is just on the cusp of turning towards its adult plumage, but the way that it's looking in the sun, it is so bright brown. It is a rufous color rather than that black of a jackal buzzard. Trying to look for a nice way in. It's going to flat tire central. Try to sneak in here. There's two. I see a second. I see a second.
Welcome back, everyone, and sounds like Jamie's signal's no good across wherever she may be, and Viam and I are trying to find some more bugs for the list. And if you look on the top brush, the middle, you'll see a little green caterpillar of sorts that's busy enjoying feeding on